To introduce how to add and subtract negative numbers. I'm going to introduce this with the concept of some Lego cubes. So if a blue Lego represents -1 and a red piece of Lego represents +1, I can say that when I put them together, when I add them together, they equal 0. So using this idea, think about what number is represented on your screen now. If the top row represents 0 and underneath I have one blue Lego brick, this number represents -1. Similarly here, I have 2 rows now, 2 rows of 0 and 1 blue Lego brick, so this again represents -1. Have a look at this one. My first row is 0, second row is 0, and I have 2 red bricks. Each red brick has a value of +1, so this here represents the number 2. And here I've got 3 rows of 0, so 0, 0, 0, and 3 blue bricks. If one blue brick is -1, the number -3 is represented here. We can use this to model the addition and subtraction of negative numbers. So if I start with the number 1, and I've represented this with the Lego bricks on your screen, and I subtract 2, I'm going to be left with the number -1. So if you think about this visually, if I subtract these 2 bricks from the left hand side here, I'm going to be left with my top row and just this blue brick here. Continuing with this idea, if I have -1 and I'm going to subtract -3 from it, so have a look how I'm going to represent this. I've got 3 rows, they equal 0, and I've just got 1 blue Lego brick. And I'm going to take away from that 3 blue bricks. Think about what you're going to be left with if you subtract these 3 from this diagram here. I'm going to be left with the number 2. So something strange has happened here. I've subtracted a negative number, but somehow I've ended up with a value bigger than I started with. So let's look at another example. If I start with -2, I've got 0, 0, 0 and 2 blue bricks, and I'm going to subtract 3 blue bricks. Think about what I'm going to be left with if I subtract these 3 from the diagram on the left. I'm left with the number 1. So again, I have subtracted a negative number from my starting point, and somehow my answer's gone up. So the rule here, when you subtract a negative number, that is the same as adding this number. So actually, this calculation is the same as -2 plus 3. Now have a go at these questions, pause the video and answer the questions on the screen. Check your answers on the screen now. The first one, 2 subtract 3 is -1. -2 subtract -1. Remember what I said, if you subtract a negative number, that is the same as adding it, so that becomes -2 plus 1, and -2 plus 1 is -1. -3 plus 2 is -1. -1 plus 4 gives us 3, and -4 plus 2 gives us -2. Remember that the numbers on the left tell you your starting point.